Hello, good morning. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first ever of the live show of the Beer Garden because this time we are going to have an earlier post time at Charene meeting. So we are going to have this live show. I'm just wondering that because it is 7 a.m. in Hong Kong. So I'm not sure how many audience will be here along with us discussing about the races. So, but this time, more importantly, we are happy to see we are having the new teammates of the beer garden, and he will be Nathan here. Hello, Nathan. How are you? Nice to see you here. Do you have anything to tell our Hong Kong audience?
No, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me on. Been a big fan of the show for a while. Been sort of milling around the socials, tipping around Hong Kong for a long time now. So it's been really, really enjoyable to be, a part of this program. So thank you for having me. A really good card this afternoon, actually, at Shartin. So I'm excited to see if we can break down a few winners. And I know Steve had a big night at Happy Valley. I saw that. So hopefully I can sort of replicate how well he's been traveling. So again, thanks for having me, guys. Cheers.
Yeah, great.
Yes,
Great to see you.
we welcome you, Nathan. So where are you from and what time is it now at your place?
It's about 10 a.m. I'm in Australia, so I live in a little small
cool.
country town called Tamworth. So none of the big cities for me, not yet. But yeah, so not too bad. 10 a.m. is not too bad compared to some of you guys. So obviously not too bad for Hong Kong racing. So I get to watch the card, which is very, very enjoyable as well. So I've delved into some previews lately at Hong Kong as well, so you can check those out on my Twitter as well. So it's been really enjoyable to be doing that. So yeah, that hopefully we can find a few winners, and it's worth your time to have me on.
Yeah, definitely. And Steve, welcome you again to our show. We are going to have our first ever live show here. And what is the time at your place and how it's doing?
It's 11:05. It's Edinburgh, capital city of Scotland, in the northern hemisphere, so it's pretty cold. The heating's on. I look at some of these swimming pools in Australia, and I'm very, very envious. But hey, we've got a nice castle, so that will do. And it's kind of exciting. It's the racing starts at like 4:30 a.m. So you get a few hours sleep, and you open the windows, and the city sleeps, and we are watching. What could be better?
Yeah, but I'm sure you will be enjoying it because we are going to have a nice 10 race card at Shartin later in this afternoon in Hong Kong time, I would say. So just like our previous program, we are going to talk about the treble. This time will be race 8 to race 10 and then followed by our best bet and value bet. So let's start with race 8, which will be the first leg of the treble. It is a class 4 over 1400 meters. Let me ask Nathan first, who is your pick in race 8?
This is an outstanding race. I think, look, I just kept defaulting back to what's going to be the likely favourite in 4 runner number 2. I just really liked the win first up. I thought it was really impressive. Barrier 9 they drew that day. They had to go back. It was first up for TP Young. And I just thought from Barrier 9, the way they went back, with about 600 metres to go, I thought this guy was gone. I thought he was absolutely gone. And then all of a sudden, Hugh Bowman, who's been riding outstanding since arriving in Hong Kong, he was just able to weave a passage up the inside. And once he got clear, he was very, very impressive hitting the line. I was very, very impressed with him. Bayo Manzor as well, a nice breed. So if you have any queries about him, it's probably, does he want to go stepping up in trip now? Does he want to go up to the mile already? Because it was a very good win and he was holding them off quite comfortably, I thought. Does get a bit of a penalty, gets £8 penalty for the win, which I think is justified because we saw the form holds up really well. We saw Fast Buck come out last weekend and really put them away in stylish fashion. Put a 1.3 length margin on that horse, and then the margin between the rest was quite significant. So I just think I kept trying to find a bit of value here, but I kept finding my way back to the favourite. I'm with Forerunner. In what is a competitive race, I could see the Hulk improving up in trip. Helene Wisdom Star is another one I've got time for. And then obviously Zach Purton and Run Buddy. The only query I've got with that guy is that he's the SP profile. I'm a big fan of, I'm not a big fan, of sort of 30 to 1, and then now you've got to take the shorter quote with Purton jumping on. So a little bit of a query there. I understand the price. You'll probably jump around $5-6, but for me, I'm happy to go a Forerunner. Yes, there's some queries, hopefully. If he replicates that first up performance, though, I think he's a pretty good bet on the card.
Yeah, definitely a great horse. Number 2, Forerunner for Nathan, making his second up over the same course and distance. Do you agree with that, Steve?
Yes, I do. Forerunner, nice Almanzor gelding, and as Nathan says, it's actually a dream run in the end. From gate 9, he gravitated over to the rail, and then he even had a nice education, didn't he? He passed between horses, and he won going away at the line, and it was a nice sort of length and a half or so to Fast Buck, who franked the form next time, and it was another two and a quarter lengths back to Strongest Boy, which I thought was quite an interesting alternative here. But I went for Forerunner 2 up 7, and I thought it was interesting. He's up 7, and Strongest Boy is down 2, and I kind of thought that I thought he was interesting. I put Strongest Boy as a sort of each way alternative, because there's a £9 swing now, and that horse has got gate 14 on both starts. I think the first time he was 6 to Multi Super, staying on. Was it Multi Super staying on, or was it Supreme Capitalist? Superb Capitalist, it might have been.
Superb Capitalist.
Yeah, and he was staying on well in 6, and then he built on that run to finish 4th to Forerunner, and I like that run. And I also thought his second trial over the 1,000 meters at Charene was an improvement on the first. I think the first was with Keith Young, and he didn't look as strong there, but I think he was quite good the second time. But it's an interesting race. I thought Run Buddy would have to improve on what he's shown on debut, but that's eminently possible on his second run under Zach. Vanquisher, an interesting debutant for Douglas White, and also I thought Young Victory, he was in excellent form at the end of the year. He won, and then he was second to Murado. And I thought I kind of liked his trial under Lyle Hewitson recently, and he wasn't pushed, was he? He just a nice coasted home mid-division, but looked quite nice. He could easily, after a nice break, build on what he's shown already. But Forerunner, short price, but for me, the likely winner, with maybe Strongest Boy chasing him home.
Yes, right. There are quite a number of unexplored runners in this race, and I'm going to take another one, and it will be number 9, Romantic Laos. He's going to have his second up in Hong Kong and trying the 1,400 meters for the first time, but I definitely believe that he can handle this distance well, because according to his pedigree, he is side by pins and out of a Sabil mare, and I think that this nicking is doing quite well, of course, in Hong Kong as well. And also last time when he made his debut over 1,200 meters at Charene, he just a bit missed the gate, and I think there were some excuses. However, he can finish well from the home straight and then have some good turn of foot. We can see him. And then recently on his barrier trial, he improved a lot, because at that barrier trial, he was beaten by Zach Burton, and he jumped well and kept till the end very well. So I think this young horse is going to improve and improve. But this time it is quite interesting to see that he will not be ridden by Zach Burton, but he has Jerry Chow on board, so taking away 2 pounds will be another advantage for him. And of course, this time breaking from gate 1, he can take advantage of the good draw, and I think he can get the rail, maybe staying in the midfield or even behind the leader, because he is stepping up in the distance this time. So I'm looking forward to number 9, Romantic Laos, to have some improvement when he step up to a better, more suitable distance for him. So to recap, race 8, class 4 over 1,400 meters, Nathan and Steve agrees with number 2, Forerunner, and my pick goes to number 9, Romantic Laos. And the second race we are going to talk about will be race 9. It is a class 3 over a longer distance, over 2,000 meters. Nathan, who is your pick in race 9?
I really like this race. I think it's a competitive field. I don't think you can go a bad way here. I think it's a really, really strong field. A few horses have drawn awkwardly, like your Woodfire Bros and a few others I thought would have been really big chances. Hit the Shot is another one I've got time for that I thought if it drew a gate, I definitely could have humoured. But for me, I've landed with number 2 here, Champion Dragon, and I think you're going to get a nice each way quote about it. I think the thing about this race is that I don't see a stack of tempo, and I love the way this guy held on last start. He pinged the lids from a wide gate, and he sort of had to sit wide and cut in behind the leader, the eventual leader in that race. And that's not the way he likes to run. He likes to bowl along up on speed. And I think from barrier 5 instead of the wider gate this time, I think he can do that. He should get a relatively soft lead. Didn't think there was too much speed in the race outside of him. So from the inside gate, Luke Ferraris jumps on board. So we lose the claim of Angus Chung, which is a little bit of a disappointment. If he was on, I think you're nearly half the quote of this horse, honestly, because I think with the weight scale, when he gets down in the weights in this grade, he's going to be really hard to beat. So with that in mind, if he can go forward, cling on, I think you're getting a nice each way price. You probably get around $8 and about $3 a play on the place line. So that's going to be my each way bet in the race. I think it's a really, really good bet. Look, I understand 5G Patch, and I think it's a really good chance here. It's come up a little bit short. Bowman gets on from barrier 1, and I think he's had his chances this preparation, but this could be the time he peaks 2000 at the bigger track at Charene. He's been really, really unfortunate not to get a win on the board with his last start at, I believe it was Happy Valley over the 22. So coming back in trip might be a positive as well. But I couldn't talk you out of any of these. Woodfire Bro I referenced, I think he, from barrier 14, if he gets any luck, he's a big chance. And Hit the Shot's another one I've got time for in this field. But I just think Champion Dragon, you're getting a good price. You know what you're going to get from him. And if he can ping the lids and get it soft enough, I think he's a really good bet.
Yes, I do agree with you. There are so many good competitors here. And number 2, Champion Dragon, this time because Angus Jones is suspended, so he will be ridden by Luke Ferraris. But no worries, because this jockey also have some good partnership with trainer Tony Cruz. And Steve, how about you? Any horse you fancy in race 9?
Well, I went for number 4, 5G Patch. Not the most predictable quite a predictable selection, but I do like the horse. He's a Camelot gelding. He scored twice in Ireland when he was known as Collins Street. He won at Leopardstown and Naas. And he's run good 3 reasonable races this year behind Hit the Shot, Woodfire Bro, and then last time Natural Storm. I thought personally that Hugh Bowman had him further back than ideal. I really did. My criticism on Twitter of jockeys is very, very rare, because my riding career never really took off. And but I did think, had he been a bit closer, I think he would have won that day. I think, as Nathan says, bringing him back in trip will help. He's had one local victory. That was over course and distance. He's nicely drawn. But again, it's one of those open races. Champion Dragon, the stablemate, an interesting horse. I had the slight suspicion that he might be better at the distance he's won at 1,800 metres, but who can say? He might well benefit from going up. And I think in different jurisdictions, you'd be questioning, why sometimes you have multiple entries. But in Hong Kong, I guess you just take the chances when you can, because you have 2 meetings a week. So you just line them up and fire and see who goes quickest. But an interesting race, as I say. I think, as you say, Hit the Shot's an interesting horse as well. The owner didn't get lucky with Golden Express last time, but hoping for better luck in his silks. And yes, so we shall wait and see. I think a Champion Dragon, another interesting thing is he's been apprentice ridden the last twice, hasn't he? He's the Alfie Chan, and then he had Angus Chung. And we've seen before that Tony Cruz has sometimes had Angus Chung on the horse, like Viva Popcorn, for instance. Then Caristine comes on and wins. So although you're getting £10 off, you are actually getting a fully fledged professional on board. So it's not always the gift from God that you think, having Angus Chung on board. You do see sometimes that once the fully fledged professional comes on, you see a different result. But for me, Forerunner, I don't like picking favourites all the time in 8, 9 and 10, because it seldom works out that way. But you have to... You can't sort of pick an outsider in one race, because, if you're going to get 2 out of 3, you've just got to stick to what you win. It's like picking Purton sometimes. You can't just, oh my God, I picked 4 in a row, I can't pick him anymore. If you like the horses, you've got to put them on. So for me, Forerunner.
Yeah, 5G Patch. Yes, definitely. We are going to pick the winner no matter what price he is. And yes, another runner from the Tony Cruz stable, and I think both of them are having quite good chances. But for me, after having Laos in the previous race, I'm going to have Motive, which will be number 11 in race 9. So Motive is definitely one of the best countries that I would love to travel to. But of course, the horse is great in form, because recently when he was down in class 3, he can show a great turn of foot, and then this time he will step up to 2,000 meters for the first time. And I just checked his pedigree, and I think he can handle the distance well, because he has some siblings that can win over 2,400 meters as well. So this time I will be looking forward to him for his first trip over 2,000 meters. And this time he will be ridden by Matthew Poon. So he will have £2 claim. And I think hopefully he can be a one of the advantage for him because he already showed some good performance on his recent start in Class 3. So I think he's quite competitive here. And I think, of course, there are so many good runners here, including the Tony Cruz horses. But I do think Modif breaking from gate 8, and there should be some pace in the race because there will be Champion Dragon leading, and maybe the pace will be a bit fast, so it will be quite favorable for Modif to show a great turn of foot in the home straight. So I will go for him. So to recap, race 9, Nathan has number 2, Champion Dragon. Steve likes number 4, 5 G-Patch, and my pick goes to number 11, Modif. So the last leg of the treble, race 10, and other Class 3, but it is a 1,200-meter race. Nathan, which horse do you fancy in race 10?
I've just had to go with the favourite here. I think Beauty Eternal is special. I'm convinced this horse is really, really good. Its first up win was so impressive. He sat wide. He had no right to win, and not only did he win, he won convincingly. Ran okay time for the class as well. I believe that was Class 4 that occasion. So he was really, really good that day. And then he stepped up in grade, and gee, I thought he was the forgive of the year, honestly. He should have won in a canter by a couple of lengths against Science Patch. That was back on November 4. Feels like it was forever ago. November 6, pardon me. Feels like it was about 6 months ago, but it wasn't that long ago. Went back to the trials since. The first trial was outstanding. Then a couple of mishaps going to the gates. Vet's inspection meant he had to get scratched. So disappointing we haven't seen him return yet. So if you had any suspects on him, that would be it. I love Barrier 12, though. He won from 14 first up, so it's not a concern. Even if he sits wide with some cover throughout, this is definitely a harder contest than the one he won first up. But I just think he's a very talented galloper. I've got him in group company going forward, and I think he's genuinely black type. So for me, I've got to go with Beauty Eternal. Drawn awkwardly. Get Z Purton though, 54.5 kilos in pounds. I'm not sure, but that's what's he get? 120 pounds. So he gets in pretty well at the weights, and I just think the Star Spangled Banner gelding has so much upside compared to a lot of this field. He's not against weak competition. No, I'm very interested in this first up horse, Magniac. That one comes from WA, so I'm very interested to see that horse go over to Hong Kong first up for Jamie Richards, who's airborne as well. So there's a lot of queries in the race, but for me, I'll go with the consistent one, the one that I think could be special. Go with Beauty Eternal, and I made it my best bet of the day.
Yeah, Beauty Eternal, number 4, I do think he's definitely a special horse, but he already showed some talents on his first up, winning from wide draw, so this time wide draw again should not be a concern. And Steve, do you think Beauty Eternal is a great one?
Well, yeah, you could just play Nathan again, actually. Just replay what he said. But yeah, I mean, he's a nice horse. As Nathan said, he broke from gate 14 to win on his debut, and I think that's the thing. Sometimes you look at horses and you look at the draw. Okay, I'm still, gutted that I didn't make Tuchel last week my actual main bet. I actually went Beauty Live, but in the back of my mind, I had a feeling that Tuchel would win. And sometimes when you watch them come out the gates, if a horse is significantly better than the rest, really gate 14 or gate 12 doesn't matter. You'll get 2 out, and his class will prevail. So, and this horse was impressive on his debut, and then second up. I mean, third to Science Patch, but my goodness, he should really have won that day. I think Purton didn't do anything wrong. He just one of these things. You go for the rail, you don't get the gaps, and these things happen every now and then. And then, of course, a couple of unfortunate happenings, both ruled out on veterinary grounds, but looked good on the recent trial. And it's hard for me to imagine any horse good enough at this moment in time to beat him. He does look special. I think Magniac is worth a second look on debut for Jamie Richards. Be interesting to see how many times Maniac's actually written on tweets. But it's and Hyper Dragon Ball. Well, he was 3 places behind Lucky Archangel on his debut, and I think he'll likely build on that significantly. Lucky Archangel is a nice horse in his own sort of league, but he's a 3-time successful at Happy Valley. But he is what he is. He's kind of exposed. He's a good handicapper, but he's not got the class of a Beauty Eternal. And I think Science Patch is probably a shade vulnerable off his mark as well at the moment. If there was a potential fly in the ointment, if say Beauty Eternal didn't turn up, I think Youthful Deal's interesting. He's shown improved form on the dirt. If he translates that back to turf, I think he'll probably chase home the likely winner, Beauty Eternal.
Yeah, Steve, I'm quite happy to hear that you mentioned UFO Deal, because number 11, UFO Deal, will be my pick in race 10. I think he is quite a good horse. As a 4-year-old, he's still improving. And then in November, he broke the maiden in Hong Kong over the all-weather track, and then he was promoted to Class 3. Last time out, when he was racing in Class 3 for the first time, he also showed a good turn of foot to run third over the all-weather track again. But this time, obviously, he will not be racing at the all-weather again. He will be moving to the turf track. But before his victory on November, so he already proven that the turf is also another suitable surface for him. So I believe that he can also handle the track well. This time he has a good draw. Gate number 2 should be quite favorable for him. He's quite a dynamic horse. He likes to stay in the midfield or at the back. He can also chase well. So this time ridden by Vincent Ho again, he is quite a good partner with the horse. So hopefully we can see UFO Deal can also have some good performance apart from Beauty Eternal, who is a likely rising star in race 10. And to recap race 10, Nathan and Steve have number 4 Beauty Eternal, and I will go for number 11 UFO Deal. And after talking about the three legs of the treble, let's talk about our favorite horse for the meeting, which will be our best bet. Nathan, can you remind us who will be your best bet for the day?
Yeah, I'm very keen. Beauty Eternal in the last. I have to be with him. I just think he's very, very talented. If he produces what we've seen and gets the breaks, I think you probably get around. Look, you got to take a short quote, but I think he's worth it. I think $1.70, get out stakes, load into Purton. I think a lot of punters will. I think this horse will probably jump 1.5 come start time. Hopefully,
yeah,
maybe. I think it could. Depends on how he's going too. If he rides 3-4 on the card and we get to the last, they're probably just going to keep loading in. So, yeah, look, I just think he's better than Class 3. And with that in mind, he gets in well at the weights. There's so many positives. I could talk ad nauseum, but I just think he's the best horse. And I just feel like if he shows up at his quality best, he's too hard to beat. And I'm happy to be with him. Best bet of the day for me.
Yeah, that's cool. So race 10, number 4, Beauty Eternal will be Nathan's best bet. And Steve, can you tell us again who will be your best bet?
Yeah, I went to race number 9. I was so tempted to do race 10, Beauty Eternal. I think I made it my next bet. Sometimes I'm allergic to putting a best bet on such a short price horse. But on the other hand, it looks like a real gilt edge opportunity for Beauty Eternal to return to winning ways. I just went to race number 9, 5G Patch, a really attractive horse, one of 2 for Tony Cruz. I do hope it's the winning horse for Tony Cruz. But yes, nice run, two wins in Ireland, 8 runs in 8 local runs, Hong Kong, 1 win from 8 runs, and still you'd imagine open to much improvement as well. And there's a few horses in this race you could really write off. Famous last words. I think Super Bella is not really the horse he was. Above seems to be struggling for form. And so you're looking at the likes of SG Tourbillon, Woodfire Bros, badly drawn, Hit the Shot's interesting, Maldives, a nice horse, but doesn't win as often as he should. And Intrepid Winner, who I backed to win, which I always fondly remember, is the Millards are having a dreadful time. They've only had 2 wins this season. That's really disappointing for them. So every time I think the Tony Millard stable's turning a corner, I had Speed Feifei the other day, and I thought that might win, but on compulsory, but they're just having a real wretched time with things. So it's hard to see Intrepid Winner doing anything other than a supporting role, even though the excellent Lyle Hewittson's on board. So for me, 5G Patch.
Yeah, so race 9, number 4, 5G Patch will be Steve's best bet for the day. And for my best bet, I'm going to take another horse from the Beauty stable, which will be in race 3, number 6, Beauty Life. Race 3, it is a Class 2 over a mile, and number 6, Beauty Life, he will be ridden by Zach Purton, and then trying the 1600 meters for the first time. But breaking from gate 9, I think it is not a concern because he is quite a dynamic horse. He can stay in the midfield or in the or at the back. He can also chase well. And last time breaking from the wide draw over 1400 meters, he stayed at the very back. But I just didn't expect that he can show such a great turn of foot in the home stretch. But he really did it. So this time, stepping up to a longer distance, he can handle it, and maybe he can stay a little bit in front in the earlier. So this time, especially with Zach Purton on board, he gets a lot of good rides on this meeting. So I believe Zach is going to win the jockey challenge for the meeting. And of course, Beauty Eternal and Beauty Life are his winning hopes. So race 3, number 6, Beauty Life will be my best bet, and the price currently is 2.1, but I really think that he has a good chance to win it. And then let's talk about some outsider that we like for our value bet. Nathan, which horse you have as your value bet?
I feel bad. It's my first time on. I'm taking on Charene. That feels wrong. But
yeah, we can have a Quinella.
We can go the Quinella. Exactly. I was about to say the same thing. I'm with All for St. Paul here. In race number 3 on the card, you mentioned this is the Class 2 over the mile, and I just think he gets it his own way this time. Look, there's a bit of speed in the race, but from the wider gate, barrier 7, I think he can sort of put a pen through that run last start, even though it was a really nice run in behind Packing Treadmill. The form lines that All for St. Paul brings here are just outstanding. You look at Packing Treadmill, Keefe, both those horses are going to be really competitive in the 4-year-old series. And then you go back to its first up win. It beat a horse called Money Catcher. That horse has gone on to win the January Cup at Happy Valley and won a Group 3 level. So I think the form lines stack up really, really well. Barrier 7, Matty Poon gets on, gets the 2-pound claim, pardon me, gets down well in the weight. And I think finds a pretty winnable race. They can ping the lids, go forward, lead, and hopefully for my sake they can leave Beauty Alive chasing late, because like you said, from gate 9, yes, I just think is a bit of a query. Does he go right back to the back of the field? Does he try and go forward and find a spot? If Purton does and he's not too far away from mine, he's probably going to run me down, but hopefully All for St. Paul can pinch a break, and hey, if I do get rolled, maybe we can get the Quinella together.
Yes, I do think so. Number 3, All for St. Paul's, I think after breaking from gate 7, he may be leading, and which it is also his favorite running tactic. So I do think All for St. Paul's is the main contender for Beauty Life. So let's have the Quinella together today. And Steve, how about you? Which outsider do you like as your value bet?
Yeah, before I mention my outsider, I don't want to gang up on you, but I actually thought All for St. Paul's was my selection as well. I just thought, listening to Frankie Law's interview, I thought he was quite reticent about All for St. Paul's, and I thought that even makes me like it a little bit more. You know, I'm always a bit suspicious of horses that quick backups, and it's like an afterthought. Oh, we'll run him here, and as you say, he beat the subsequent January Cup winner Money Catcher. That's pretty decent form. Anyway, where was I? Race number 7, a fantastic race. You know, we're all looking forward to next Sunday's card, but this is a great card in its own right. The 10 races tomorrow on the Saturday. I thought race 7, the Rose Handicap, Class 4 over the minimum trip, 1,000 meters. Excellent fighters, the one that could very well build on an impressive, a narrow but good battling debut win. But I just went for Noble One. I thought he was the perfect shoe-in for an each-way selection. Like most of the fancy horses here, he's drawn high, along with the likes of Flying High, an excellent fighter. But Noble One, he's nothing from 8. But this is his ideal course and distance. He's had 5 runs this season. The middle run was a run over the 1200, it just didn't work out. This is definitely his métier over the 1,000 meters. And he was in the race won by Excellent Fighter last time. And rather similarly, they had the sort of same run. Noble One was also messed up, probably to a worse extent than the winner leaving the gate. He was about a length and a half behind, and he finished about the same. Now, obviously, there's more scope for improvement from Excellent Fighter, very nice rookie U4-year-old. But I just think that Noble One's an interesting horse. There's also Cheval Valiant, 40, the top weights coming back. And I think Flying High, he won 3 starts ago. And then the next time he was drawn on the outside rail, gate 14, where he saw too much daylight. I don't think the horse likes to lead. And he actually ran quite well in the circumstances. He faded to be a close-up 6th, and then on his latest run from gate 1, he then ran quite well. He was a close-up 3rd. But for me, Noble One, you're looking at sort of $8. He's a nice horse, and I think from gate 11, if he sort of held up and comes between horses, I think he could surprise.
Yeah, I like it too. Steve has his value bet in race 7, which will be number 6, Noble One. And to be honest, I think race 7 is the most tricky race for the day, because it is over the straight course, and Noble One breaking from a good draw over this straight course, gates number 12. He can definitely take advantage of the good draw. And for me, my value bet goes to race 4. It is a class 5 over 1200 meters. I quite like number 5 Encore, and he's now having quite a huge price, 20-1. But the main reason that I have some fancy on him will be the gate 1 is seems quite ideal for him, because he's nothing from 10 attempts in Hong Kong before. But after trying over different distances and different surfaces, trainer Danny Shum finally decided to race him over 1200 meters at Charene. And I think this distance should be the most suitable trip for him, because earlier in this season, in October and November, he did show some ability over 1200 meters, but they were over at Happy Valley. But moving to the Charene, a bigger track for him should not be a problem, because I think last time when he was racing over 1650 meters over the all-weather track, there were some excuse for him because he stayed wide without cover for the whole trip, and then he don't have enough stamina to keep till the end. So stepping back to 1200 meters should be a good choice. And of course, racing over a career low mark, I believe that he has some ability to bounce back, because he is just 5-year-old, and this time finally he gets a good draw, because he was always breaking from wide draw like gate 8, gate 10, and gate 12 for most of the time for his career in Hong Kong. But this time gate 1 should be a big advantage for him. So I just have some fancy on him. So maybe we can have some each way bet on number 5 Encore in race 4, which he will be my value bet. So to recap some other outsider that we like the value bet for us. For Nathan, race 3, number 3, all for St. Paul's, and for Steve, race 7, number 6, Noble One, and for myself, race 4, number 5, Encore. So that's all for our preview for the day. Hopefully you enjoy the show. And then currently there are some audience now on the chat room, and let me just read their messages. Yes, right, because we are going to have the Chinese New Year soon. So some audience just wishing us Gong Hei Fat Choi, and hopefully we can have a better year, good year ahead as in the year of rabbits. So I'm quite curious that Steve and Nathan, do you guys have some Chinese New Year celebration at your place, Nathan, in Australia? How do you celebrate Chinese New Year?
Well, it'll probably be a barbecue or something, wouldn't it? I'm not really sure. That'll be the go. Yeah, I'll sit back and I'll probably do that. I'll probably have a barbecue, watch the Charene racing. So, like I said, it's a good time zone for me. So happy to oblige with that. But it's an amazing card on Tuesday as well. The acceptances are already out. I saw the final fields before, so really excited to do the form for that as well. So big weekend coming up. We got today, obviously, and then Chinese New Year Day, and it's a good Class 1 as well, a decent race. So excited to hopefully get through that as well.
Wow, that's fantastic. I like barbecue as well. And Steve, how do you celebrate Chinese New Year, or you don't in Scotland?
Well, I'd love to say we do, but we probably don't. But I'll probably, because I'm involved in this, I'll probably look and go on Google and see how other people are enjoying Chinese New Year. So I'll sort of live it vicariously, shall I? I'll do it that way. But yeah, as Nathan says, looking forward to the Tuesday card as well. I thought it was Wednesday, and I'm actually off on Tuesday, so I'm delighted the way things have worked out. Looking forward to looking at the form there as well. Get tomorrow first.
Yeah, me too. Just can't wait for the big day, and I hope to get more lucky money and some red packets from all maybe the trainers and the jockeys and other friends in the race course. So yeah, thanks all for your time today. Thank you for watching for our first ever live show for the Beer Garden, and hopefully we can bring you some winner, and we will see you next time for our preview. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.